I'm Diana Skaya, and welcome to Face to Face, our weekly summary of top events, but from a Central European perspective. I'm happy to welcome as my guest today TVP World Editor-in-Chief, Mr. Michał Broniatowski. Michał, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
So, Michał, a major corruption scandal, unfortunately rocking Kyiv. I mean, this is something that Ukraine doesn't necessarily need at a time when it's fighting against continuous Russian attacks. Now, Ukrainian anti-corruption agencies targeted some of Zelensky's closest associates, including co-founder of his production studio, Kvartal 95, Timur Mindich. But now, before I get into that, for those of you who don't know, Kvartal 95, this is a production studio that Zelenskyy helped found. It's stand-up comedy, and let's just look at a skit here for a few seconds.
Победитель хит-парада самых опасных профессий сегодня у нас в гостях. Это охранник президента. Встречайте!
Новенький.
Готов!
К работе с президентом готов?
Готов!
Вот здесь правильно.
Готов!
Итак, начинаем полную проверку.
Готов!
Вопрос первый.
Готов!
Да хватит уже.
Готов!
Итак, внимание. Что самое главное в работе с президентом?
Не смеяться!
You know, Michał, I should probably not be laughing, but I used to love watching this Kvartal 95. And I mean, so Timur Mindich has now reportedly fled to Israel a day before these anti-corruption bureaus came to target them. I mean, so tell us about Operation Midas, Michał.
You know, we have to know exactly who Mr. Mindich is. He's not one of top advisors, but he's the top partner and advisor of Mr. Zelenskyy. He's the one who took over his stake in Kvartal 95 company after Zelenskyy became president.
50%, right?
Well, he has 50%. I don't know how much he took from the president. Anyway, he controls this company, very big, very rich company, and he has also a lot of businesses involved in military production and so on. So Mindich is as close to the president of Ukraine as one can be, unluckily.
Unluckily. Well, I mean, what do you think about all this? I mean, is this going to weaken this entire corruption scandal? Is this going to weaken Michał, Ukraine's credibility on the Western stage, on the global stage? I mean, should this entire thing come as a surprise to us?
You know, people in the whole world are not angels, and this is where transparent institutions have to come. Luckily, in Ukraine, there is an institution which is capable of not only finding such big affairs, also institutions which are capable of draw conclusions from what they discovered. And yes, this affair, of which Mr. Mindich was one of the top participants, have already suffered on order from President Zelenskyy, who is behaving here very loyally to the state. Those who participated in the scheme were demoted from their positions. Also, there is a special procedure against the two top players who fled the country, among which is Mr. Mindich. They are sanctioned now, which means on political decision of the president, they are banned from traveling. They already traveled.
They're not there anymore. They're gone.
Accounts are blocked and so on. So this shows that President Zelenskyy is very resolute in trying to make this story be less destructive for him.
But Michał, let me ask you this. I mean, you did say in the beginning that this is not one of his, closest associates. That Mindich was the most important, business partner, friend, possibly. Earlier we saw that picture of them together in their youth, right? Zelenskyy and Mindich. Did Zelenskyy have no idea that something like this could happen? How can we perceive something like this?
We don't know. The main, we need to say a few words about the affair. The affair is about so-called atkat, which means part of any deal has to be cut by 15%, which goes to a person who is demanding it and is in a position to be able to demand this 15%. Most of the recordings which concern this affair, which amounts to, as the anti-corruption body says, it's about 100 million euros. This is 15%, which is skimmed from contracts for Energoatom, the company which is in charge of quite major atomic production in Ukraine, and talks which were recorded by NABU.
1,000 hours, Michał.
1,000 hours, which lasted for 15 months, were made mostly in the flat of Mr. Mindich. And, they were made from, apparently, according to media reports in Ukraine, they were made from a neighboring flat, which was empty. It is a huge problem for Zelenskyy, not only in view of his credibility abroad in time when Brussels is discussing a way to support financially
Kyiv is in full blackout.
And also during discussions about Ukraine's accession to the European Union, it's not very helpful, of course. However, we see that law is acting. The rule of law is there. As I said, people are not angels. But on the other hand, of course, it is harming for Zelenskyy at home. He already suffered major street demonstrations after he, you may remember, in July, he ordered to submit NABU to the control of the Prosecutor General, who is a political nominee. And after huge demonstrations, first since the beginning of the full-scale war,
which probably also took Zelenskyy by surprise.
And he gave up on this law and then gave the NABU its independence back.
And now this.
And now this, yes, actually performed by NABU.
Michał, you brought up the Russian frozen assets. Where are we standing with this now? I mean, the EU, of course, is under pressure. And the last thing that we know is the EU finance ministers agreed that funding Ukraine with the reparations loan based on immobilized Russian assets would be the best solution for Kyiv. What do you think about this? And of course, we still have many disagreements, particularly Belgium, right? And also Slovakia, who said that it won't take part in any legal or financial schemes to seize frozen Russian assets if Ukraine is going to use that for military purposes, right? And we have that quote right there by Robert Fico. What do you think?
The fight is on, so to say. I think the opposition from Mr. Fico is not that essential because they will always find some ways around it. They can push Mr. Fico and Mr. Orbán, who will, of course, join efforts with Fico to derail the whole thing, but they can be convinced, of course, pushed economically. The main problem is Belgium, which requires, before it releases the money, 140 billion euros, guarantees that if there is any action on the part of Russia in order to, retaliation at home or abroad against Belgian assets, for example, elsewhere,
right.
They want to have full support from the European Union, from all states of the European Union, that would guarantee them that they would have financial support in such a case. Belgian Prime Minister is opposing the whole thing because because of his domestic situation with the budget. So he's not as free as we would like him to be to take such sensitive decisions for Belgium. So the thing is complicated, but it has to be solved by the next meeting of the European Council, the 27 leaders of the European Union in Brussels on December 18th. If they don't agree, if there's no solution to this problem, Ukraine will be in big difficulty already in April. It will have next year. It will have to start very tough belt tightening because there'll be no money in the coffers of the state. They will initially they'll be able to get some money from banks, the dividends for their yearly profits.
But I mean, Germany also today, right, allocated and said it's going to put more into Ukraine's aid.
Yes, but it's not simple as it looks. First of all, it's not enough because next year Ukraine needs $41 billion to run the state, not only to defend to itself against the Russian invasion. It needs this money to pay salaries of state employees, health service. You can imagine the duties of the states are equal to 41 billion euro next year.
Hence why I said earlier on that a corruption scandal for over 100 million doesn't look too good on Ukraine right now. But Michal, is it even fair, realistic to expect that Ukraine, say it gets this loan, say let's look at a positive outcome, right? Ukraine receives this loan, and is it even fair to say that Ukraine would repay the loan only if Russia pays back the reparations? I mean, Russia paying back for war reparations, is this
of course they will not pay
realistic?
it, but necessity of reparation is obvious. So if Russia does pay, fine. If it doesn't, no problem, because this money is at the account, a closed account, blocked account in Belgium. So
there's also Michal, top defense officials, right? From the European Group of Five that are meeting in Berlin, that have met in Berlin to discuss also what's next for Ukraine. Do you think anything is going to be achieved there?
No. These are not even top officials. I think that they will make another loud pronouncement, but still, we have practical problems.
Right.
We have a deadline 1 month from now in order to spare Ukraine, which is already facing cold winter because of Russian attacks of their
energy infrastructure.
Exactly. It's a very difficult moment for Ukraine. This morning they had attack on
Kyiv, a massive attack on Kyiv.
Yeah, 4 people were killed, and these attacks are not on energy installments.
Civilian infrastructure and on
the buildings, homes.
And it's painful very painful to watch. But let's move on now to Poland, Michal. All right, so Poland did this week celebrate its 107th Independence Day. Many celebrations took place across the country, the biggest ones happening here in Warsaw. But on the sidelines, President Karol Nawrocki has also completed his first 100 days in office. And according to an Opinia 24 poll for Polityka Weekly, well, more than 50% of polls, that goes for you out there, more than 50% of polls actually view President Nawrocki's first days in office positively. Now, before I ask you what you think about this, I want our viewers to take a look at some of Karol Nawrocki's special first 100 days in office. Michał, I see you smiling. Please do share.
Well, we should be more fair to Mr. President. He was not only doing strange appearances in public. He was, during these 100 days, he was trying to create for himself a new space which is not very much fitting his constitutional
a new public image.
Right. Yes, but what happened really in this 100 days is that he established himself as a leader of Polish right, if not far right. Until recently, for the last at least 2 dozens of years, the main politician on the right was Mr. Jarosław Kaczyński, who is the chairman of Law and Justice Party. But with the appearance and behavior and following, you saw 50% of polls or of those.
So does it mean that Kaczyński now is losing control of the?
I don't know about his control. I know about who is now the main person on the right, and it is President Nawrocki, who also appears to be a very dangerous enemy or competitor of the Prime Minister Tusk, which is presiding over a majority coalition. But it's.
Do you think he can consolidate the conservatists?
Nawrocki, yes. If anyone is capable of doing it now, it appears to be Nawrocki. We don't know what will happen in 2 years' time when we have parliamentary elections, but definitely the influence of Nawrocki is now enormous compared to his. He's not in charge of any party.
The fact that he was marching there with the people on this Independence Day march, right, one of the biggest far-right.
Well, we have to remember that he's the first president mingling with the crowd in these demonstrations. These demonstrations are traditional marches on the Independence Day, which is November 11th in Poland. Demonstrations run thousands of people shouting questions about slogans about Great Poland, about immigrants. They are very anti-immigrant and very nationalistic, and I'm not going to quote them, but anyway, the president marching among them in a flag in hands. It's one of the examples of how he plans to develop his political clout along, these 5 years which are ahead of him.
Well, and hopefully we'll be here to talk about how that will develop. Thank you so much, Michał Broniatowski, Editor-in-Chief of TVP World, for being here with me on Face to Face. And as always, thank you for watching Face to Face. We'll see you here next week, and stay on with TVP World for more news, analysis, and exclusive interviews.